Welcome to this 1 hour English fluency masterclass. In the next 1 hour, you are going to improve all areas of your English. And by the end of this masterclass, you are going to sound more fluent and feel more confident.
I think I'm excited.
Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, in this masterclass, let's focus on your listening skills so you can understand fast English and so you can learn natural expressions. Here's how this lesson will work. I'm going to say a sentence 3 times at a natural pace, and you need to write down exactly what you hear in the comments. And this test will progress from beginner, A1, to more advanced, C1. Let's get started. Are you all set? Are you all set? Are you all set? I said, are you all set? Notice that the you becomes more of an unstressed ya or ya. So it's a very subtle difference, ya, ya. Native speakers will use both, are ya, are ya all set? And notice I don't push out that T, so set, all set. Now what does this mean, to be all set? This simply means to be ready. So you can use this all the time in your daily speech. So I could ask you, are you ready for your presentation tomorrow? And you can reply back with those 2 words, all set, all set. The full form would be, I am all set, and then you can just reduce that to all set, which means I'm ready for my presentation tomorrow. We commonly use this to confirm that someone is ready to leave. Leave a house, leave a restaurant, leave any location. Are you ready to go? And you can reply back with those 2 words, all set, which means I'm ready to go.
All set? All set?
All set.
Let's try this again, a little more challenging. I'll say it 3 times. My week's off to a rocky start. My week's off to a rocky start. My week's off to a rocky start. Did you get this one? I said my week's off to a rocky start. Notice that contraction, weeks, that is week is. My week is, my week's. My week's off. And instead of saying to a, I can combine those together with a w, to. So I use that w to glide. To. My week's off to a rocky start. The reason why this is more difficult is because you may not know the expression. The expression is to be off, to a, and then adjective, start. And in this example, my adjective is rocky. My week's off to a rocky start. Rocky means difficult or uncertain.
He and I got off to a rocky start.
All right, sure. Tonight got off to a weird rocky start.
We often use this adjective rocky to describe relationships. It could be a romantic relationship, a relationship with family or friends, or a relationship with your boss or coworker. Your friend might come to you upset and say, our relationship is a little rocky right now, and she wants your advice. But remember, you can use any adjective with this expression, so hopefully you'll use a positive one. My week's off to an amazing start. And notice, because my adjective starts with a vowel, my article becomes an amazing start.
Off to a great start.
So we're off to a good start.
And you can use this expression as a reply to, how's your week going? So why don't you practice this right now? How's your week going? And I want you to put in the comments, my week's off to a adjective start. And you choose the adjective. Put that in the comments. And hopefully it's a positive adjective. Let's try this again. I'll say it 3 times. What do you have on the go today? What do you have on the go today? What do you have on the go today? Did you get this one? I said, what do you have on the go today? Have you heard that native speakers pronounce what do you as whatia? Whatia? We combine all those sounds together. Whatia. An alternative is whatcha. Whatcha. And I use both of them equally, so it's important that you know both of them as well. And this question is how a native speaker will commonly ask, what are you doing today? So the expression is have on the go. What do you have on the go today? What are you doing today? Now, instead of have on the go, native speakers will also say, what do you have going on? So on the go is one option, going on is another option. What do you have going on today?
Hey girl, what do you got going on today?
So to answer, maybe you could say, today I'm studying JForrest English lessons. Is that what you have going on today? Let's try this one more time. I'll say it 3 times. Did you nod off in the presentation too? Did you nod off in the presentation too? Did you nod off in the presentation too? Did you get this one? I said, did you nod off in the presentation too? Native speakers will combine did you and say did you. Did you. So you hear a j sound. Did you. Or we can reduce that to did ya or did ya. So that or ah. So all 3 options are common. Nod off is a phrasal verb, so we'll pronounce it as one word, nod off. So notice I'll take that D sound and I'll connect it on the off, but I have to combine it together. Nod off, nod off, nod off. To nod off, this means that you fall asleep accidentally when you're not supposed to, like during a presentation. So hopefully you're not nodding off during this lesson right now. Or maybe you nodded off on the bus. I nodded off on the bus and missed my stop. Has that ever happened to you? Or maybe you see one of your coworkers nodding off. I think Sarah nodded off. Someone should wake her up before her boss sees her.
Did you just nod off?
I nodded off.
So I nodded off a little.
Nodded off? Ross, you were snoring.
Now let's do an imitation exercise so you can practice your pronunciation. I'm going to say each sentence again, and I want you to repeat the sentence aloud and imitate my pronunciation. Are you all set? Are you all set? Are you all set? My week's off to a rocky start. My week's off to a rocky start. My week's off to a rocky start. What do you have on the go today? What do you have on the go today? What do you have on the go today? Did you nod off in the presentation too? Did you nod off in the presentation too? Did you nod off in the presentation too? Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, the movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. Next, you're going to expand your vocabulary, and you'll do that by learning natural expressions to impress natives. Your first phrase to sound like a native speaker, one you must start using. How's it going? How's it going?
How's it going?
If you've been following me for a while, And if you haven't, make sure you subscribe right now. You'll know that I teach all my students to use how's it going because it will instantly make you sound like a native speaker. Of course, this is a replacement to how are you, and it's used in friendly professional situations and social contexts. Yes, you can still use this in professional situations, just make sure the atmosphere is more friendly. But to sound like a native speaker, you must pronounce it like a native speaker. You cannot say, how is it going? With spaces between. You must say, how's it going? How's it going? So notice those sounds. How's it? Zit. You have that strong z, zit. How's it going? How's it going? Repeat after me. How's it going? How's it going? Keep practicing that until you're pronouncing it just like me. Now, to answer, because you will be asked this by native speakers, to answer, you would say it's going plus adjective, or you can simply use the adjective. It's going. Notice that it's going. Make sure you get that contraction. Don't say it is going. That will not make you sound like a native speaker. It's going. Great, good, pretty good, not too bad, okay. Those are the most common options.
How's it going? How is Andy?
How's it going?
Don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Number 2, do you have a sec? Do you have a sec?
Do you have a sec?
This is used to ask if someone can give you their attention for a short period of time because sec is short for second. Do you have a second? Do you have a sec? Now make sure you pronounce that k. It's a K sound at the end. Sec. Repeat after me. Sec. Sec. Native speakers will often drop the auxiliary and the subject and simply say, have a sec. Instead of do you have, we simply say, have a sec. And more casually, informally, we use got instead of have. Got a sec. Got a sec. So you could come in, knock on my door, and say, hey Jennifer, do you have a sec? If I'm available for a short period of time, I can say, sure, what's up? Now you can also specify what you want to talk about in the question. Hi Jennifer, do you have a sec to talk about vacation requests? So the topic of discussion is vacation requests. So notice it's do you have a sec plus infinitive, to plus base verb. Common infinitives are to talk about, to discuss, to review, to go over. There are many other options, but those will get you started.
Hey, Jack. Do you have a sec?
Do you have a sec?
Number 3, what's up? Did you notice that I used what's up in the last example? Well, let's talk about what that means. This is a casual way to inquire about someone's needs or wants. In the last example, I said, hi Jennifer, do you have a sec? And then as a reply, sure, what's up? What's up? Now first, let's talk about the pronunciation. What's up? What's up? So notice it sounds like one word and you hear that S on what's and sup. We put it in front of up. What's up? Repeat after me. What's up? What's up? Work on that pronunciation because it's extremely important to sound like a native speaker. Let's review this example. What's up with Jacob? He seems really distracted. In this case, it's a casual way to inquire about the status of someone, usually based on that person's behavior. So Jacob seems distracted. I want to know why? What's the reason? What's the status of Jacob? What's up with Jacob? He seems really distracted. To reply, you could say, I'm not sure. Maybe he's under pressure. Or you could provide the reason, the status. His father's in the hospital. So that explains what's up with Jacob. You could also ask, what's up with the conference? Have the speakers been determined yet? In this case, it's a casual way to inquire about the status of something, the conference.
What's up with her?
What's up with Marshall?
What's up with Ichabod?
Number 4, I'm on it. This is a great expression and is used to accept responsibility for a task. For the pronunciation, notice how those sounds blend together. I'm on it. So you take the M and you put it on, and you take the N and you put it in front of it. I'm on it. Repeat after me. I'm on it. I'm on it. You can also drop the subject and verb and simply say on it. Make sure you get knit. On it. Repeat after me. On it. Excellent. Someone could and say, hey Jennifer, can you send out the meeting request? And I can reply back and say, on it. In this case, it's a response to a direct request. Someone asked me directly to do something. On it. Now, if you're in a meeting and the boss says, does anyone have time to send out the meeting request? You can volunteer to accept this task and say, on it. So you can use this as a reply to an open request. So if you like this lesson, make sure you share it with your friends. Now, to say that you accept this task that I just gave you, what can you say? On it, on it. So put that in the comments, on it. But then make sure you actually share this lesson with your friends.
I'm on it.
All right. I'm on it. I'm on it.
I'm on it.
Number 5, could you give me a hand? This is used to ask if someone can help you. Notice for that pronunciation, did you hear that j sound? Could you, could you, give me, could you give me a hand? Repeat after me. Could you give me a hand? Could you give me a hand? Now this is a general request for help, so someone could reply back and say, sure, what's up? They're asking about your needs and wants. Sure, what's up? So the person can say, I need to bring these boxes to the garage. Now the other person can say, I'm on it, to accept your request for help. I'm on it. You can also specify the activity directly in the question and say, could you give me a hand with these boxes? So notice you use the preposition with and then you specify what help you need. You can also use this to offer someone help. I have 20 boxes to move and they're all really heavy. A very nice coworker could say, I can give you a hand, or I'm happy to give you a hand with that.
Give me a hand.
Yeah.
Maybe you could give me a hand.
Did you give me a handout back?
Number 6, I can't make it. This is to say that you're not available to attend something or go somewhere. In this case, make it means attend or arrive. Now let's talk about the pronunciation. I can't. Notice we don't push out that T. I can't. Just don't push it out. I can't make it. The K sound is on the vowel. Kit. Make it. I can't make it. Repeat after me. I can't make it. I can't make it. Your coworkers could say to you, we're grabbing a bite after we move all the boxes. So they're casually inviting you to join them. And you can say, sorry, I can't make it. I have to pick up my kids. So you can't go, you can't attend. Or you could be on your way to a meeting, but there is an accident and you have to text your coworker and say, traffic is terrible. I'm not going to make the meeting. Start without me. So here, remember, we're just using the verb make instead of attend. Or you could say, I'll try my best to make it tonight. So it might be the party. I'll try my best to make the party. You could also say, I'll try my best to make it to the party.
I can't make it tonight.
Oh, I can't make your party tomorrow.
Deb, I can't make it.
Number 7, it's up to you. This is to say that someone is responsible for making the decision. Notice that pronunciation, it's up to you. So we take it's sup, we use that S sound, it's sup to instead of to, it's up to you. Repeat after me, it's up to you. It's up to you. So if you're planning to watch a movie tonight, you could say to your friend or partner, there are 3 new releases. Which one do you want to watch? And your partner can say, it's up to you. So you're responsible for deciding. It's common to add the reason why. For example, they all look good to me, so it's up to you. This is very commonly used if you give someone 2 choices. Do you want to take the highway or the scenic route? It's up to you. You are responsible for deciding. Again, you can provide the reason why. You're driving, so it's up to you.
It's up to you.
It's up to you. It's up to you.
Now let's have some fun. You'll complete a quiz to see how well you know these commonly confused words. And of course, you'll learn new vocabulary and grammar throughout this section. So here's how this video is going to work. I'm going to show you a sentence and you're going to have 2 options and you have to decide which option correctly completes the sentence. Now, I'll only show the sentence for a couple seconds. So make sure you hit pause, take your time to read it, to answer it, and then hit play and I'll show you the answer and I'll explain why that answer is correct. Are you ready to go? Number 1, there were people at the party than I had expected. The answer is fewer. There were fewer people at the party than I had expected. And the reason is we use fewer with countable nouns. You can count how many people there are. But we use less with uncountable nouns. So I could say, there was less rain. You can't count rain. There was less rain this year compared to last year. Number 2, I'm just in the of a big project. And the answer is midst. Midst. This is a tricky one simply because of pronunciation. When you hear this in spoken English, I'm in the midst of a big project, it's easy to confuse this with mist. And to be in the midst of something is simply to be in the middle of something. So I'm in the middle of a big project. Number 3, wow, that shirt really, your hair. And the answer is compliments with an E. These 2 words sound exactly the same in pronunciation. It's spelling that is different, but they have different meanings. Compliment in this example is when one thing, your shirt, combines really well with another thing, your hair. Compliment with an I is when you say something nice to someone. I love your shirt. Thanks for the compliment. If you want to learn more about compliment and compliment, you can look in the description for a link on a video on that topic. Number 4, that movie had quite an on me. The answer is effect. It had quite an effect on me. The pronunciation is very similar. Effect, effect. There's a slight difference, but the spelling is important because affect is a verb and effect is a noun. And we need a noun. You know that because there's an article in the sentence. With the verb, I could say that movie affected me. If you want to learn more about affect and effect, you can look in the description for a link on that. Number 5, quizzes are a great way to your skills. To hone your skills. Again, similar in pronunciation, but the correct choice is hone. This is an expression to hone one's skills. This is simply to improve one's skills. Number 6, I didn't know at the party. I didn't know anybody at the party. Didn't is negative. In the English language, we do not like double negatives. You can only use one negative in a clause. And since I already have didn't, I can't use the negative nobody. I have to use anybody. Number 7, I don't like carrots. I don't like carrots either. Now, this is the same as number 6 because I don't is a negative. Neither is also a negative, so we can't use it. We want either. I don't like carrots either. To use neither, I could say, you don't like carrots? Neither do I. Neither do I. If you want to learn more about either and neither, you can look in the description for a video I created on this. And number 8, she has more she needs. She has more than she needs. Similar in pronunciation than, but they're two totally different words. Than we use in comparisons, more than, less than, fewer than, comparisons. Then is an adverb. It's used in time references. First, I'll eat lunch, then I'll go for a walk. Number 9, joining social clubs is, for all purposes, the solution to loneliness. For all intents and purposes. This is an expression in English, for all intents and purposes. This simply means in almost every situation, in virtually every situation. But when you say this at a natural pace, for all intents and purposes, for all intents and purposes, it sounds like intensive. Intensive is a word that people are very familiar with. Intense and is not something that people are familiar with, but the correct expression is intense and purposes. This is a very useful business or academic expression. It isn't really used in casual conversation too much. Number 10, we can discuss this after the meeting. We can discuss this further after the meeting. Further and farther both mean more. We can discuss this more in more detail after the meeting. We use further when we're talking about figurative, and we use farther when we're talking about literal. For example, we need to walk farther. We literally need to walk more. We need to walk farther to see the waterfall. If you want to learn more about this, look in the description for a link on a separate video. Number 11, you can down here. You can lie down here. Lay and lie, they have the same meaning, but lay is transitive. It needs an object. For example, lay the baby down here. Lay the blanket down here. You lay something. But lie is intransitive, so there's no object. Lie down here. Lie yourself down here. Lie down here. Number 12, that sweater is too for you. That sweater is too loose for you. This one is confusing because of the spelling. Do I need one O or two? It's easy to forget. Lose with one O is the opposite of win. Did you lose the game? Did you win the game? Did you lose the game? Loose with two O's, when we're talking about clothing, is when it doesn't fit closely to your body. So this shirt I'm wearing is not loose. It fits closely to my body. But this sweater, for example, is loose. Number 13, we should worked harder. We should have worked harder. Now, this is a mistake that many native speakers make because in spoken English, we take have, which is the grammatically correct choice, but we reduce it. We say it quickly and it sounds like of. You should have. You should have. You should have worked harder. So sometimes native speakers forget that it's actually have and not of, because that's what it sounds like in spoken English. So in spoken English, you can absolutely say you should have. You should have worked harder. But in written English, just remember that the correct choice is have. Number 14, I shouldn't have to the party. I shouldn't have gone to the party. Our verb here is go. The past simple is went, and the past participle is gone. This structure requires the past participle, the third form of the verb. Yesterday, I went to the party. I've gone to 3 parties this month. And finally, number 15, do you trust the most? Whom do you trust the most? Who and whom, it can be very tricky for students and native speakers to know the difference. Just ask yourself, do you need she or her? Do you need a subject or an object? She or her, he or him. I trust her the most. We need an object, not a subject, so you use whom. Who is your friend? She is my friend. In this case, we need a subject, so we use who. Now let's do my favorite exercise, and I know it's an exercise my students love. We'll read a news article together so you can improve your reading, vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation.
First, I'll read the headline. Pen pals of 70 years meet for first time. So these two are the pen pals, and now 70 years later, they met. So first, notice in the headline, it says meet for first time. This is actually grammatically incorrect. Do you know why? It's because there's a word missing, a small but important word, and that's the article. This is considered acceptable to do specifically in headlines. You can omit the article just to save space, but you need to say for the first time. First is an ordinal number, and we use the article the. It has to be the. It can't be for a first time. For the first time. For the first time. Now it's correct when we add that. Pen pals of 70 years meet for the first time. So let's hear about their story. Now, first of all, do you know what a pen pal is? To be honest, I'm not sure if this is something that's popular anymore. But when you have a pen pal, it's when you and someone else, usually in another country, another part of the world, decide to become friends, and your friendship consists of you writing to each other. So of course, 70 years ago, writing would take place by sending a letter to the other person. Now, obviously, you can have a pen pal online. In the past, I know it was quite common to have pen pals for language learning purposes. I personally had a pen pal, someone from Africa, when I was learning French and he was learning English, and I wrote to him in French and he wrote to me in English, and we actually met in Canada. So that was a very interesting experience for me. So I have met a pen pal that I had. What about you? Have you ever had a pen pal? Have you met your pen pal? Do you still have a pen pal? Share that in the comments. So that's the definition of pen pal if you weren't aware. I added that definition of pen pal here for you. Now, don't worry about writing this down because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF, so you can look for the link in the description. Let's continue. A pair of 80-year-old pen pals. So notice here, a pair, well, of course, that means two. So 1, 2, this is a pair of women, a pair of pens, a pair of apples. It doesn't matter what, but it means two. A pair of 80-year-old. This is an adjective to describe the pen pals. As an adjective, they don't take singular or plural forms, which is why you don't see an S on years. And remember that adjectives are always optional in English. So if I remove the adjective, the sentence would still be correct. A pair of pen pals. So it's still correct without the adjective, and it just describes who the pen pals are. So a pair, remember, that equals two. A pair of 80-year-old pen pals who have been writing to each other since 1955. Of course, we need our what verb tense? Because I have since 1955, what verb tense? Well, of course, the present perfect. In this case, the present perfect continuous, because the action started in the past and continues until now. They're still writing to each other. So that's why we have the present perfect, and since is a keyword for the present perfect. And in this case, it's just in the continuous form because it shows the continuation of the action. A pair of 80-year-old pen pals who have been writing to each other since 1955 have finally fulfilled their lifelong wish to meet in person. So it's been their lifelong wish. I think you can understand what lifelong means, but this is an adjective to describe the wish, and it's something that the person has been wanting to do for their entire life. You can have a lifelong wish. You can also have a lifelong dream, desire, or goal. For example, it's my lifelong dream to go to Disneyland. I don't know why I chose that. It was just the first thing that popped into my head. And then notice here they say have finally fulfilled their lifelong wish. When you fulfill it, it means you achieve it. They've done it. So you could add, I hope I fulfill it soon. Patsy Gregory from Lancashire, which is in the UK. I'm not sure where, to be honest. If you know where this is, feel free to share. Patsy Gregory from Lancashire traveled nearly 4,000 miles to meet Carol Ann Cross in South Carolina, which is, of course, a state in the US. I'm more familiar with South Carolina than I am Lancashire, I must admit. Who she began writing to as a 12-year-old. So again, here, we're using it as an adjective, as a what? As a 12-year-old girl. And then they just omitted the word girl because it's obvious. But here, as a 12-year-old girl, and then you can just omit that noun and then just have as a 12-year-old. As a 12-year-old. So she began writing to who she began writing to as a 12-year-old. So that's when their pen pal relationship, pen palship, I don't know if that's a word, I made it up. Their pen pal relationship began. All right. Mrs. Gregory said Mrs. Cross. So remember, Mrs. Gregory's from the UK, Mrs. Cross is from the US. Mrs. Gregory said Mrs. Cross was exactly as she imagined she would be. Now notice, as she imagined she would be. We have the hypothetical here because obviously as you're writing to someone, you have an image in your head of who that person is. But at this time, they didn't have social media. They didn't have video chat. So they probably didn't see that many pictures of each other or were exposed to each other's lives in the way we are now because of social media. So they have this image in their mind of what the other person was like. And that's why it's in the hypothetical here. She would be. Mrs. Gregory said Mrs. Cross was exactly as she imagined she would be. I recognized her immediately. When you recognize someone, it means you look at someone and they are familiar to you. So you can recognize a person. And sometimes if you're talking to someone, you're like, oh, hi, do you recognize me? It's another way of saying, do you remember who I am? Because perhaps we met at a conference, but 5 years ago. And the person is asking if I remember who she is. Do you recognize me? Do you recognize me? Now, you can recognize someone physical appearance, but you can also recognize them based on the sound of their voice. For me, actually, I tend to remember someone's voice, the sound of their voice, more than actually what they look like. So I might recognize someone because their voice sounds familiar to me. I recognized her immediately, and it just felt natural. In this way, natural means comfortable because they're meeting each other for the first time. And when you meet someone for the first time, it can be awkward because you don't know how to interact with that person, but they've been communicating with each other as pen pals for 70 years. So that's why it felt natural, which means it felt comfortable because of the relationship they have as pen pals. Comfortable. Mrs. Gregory, the one from the UK, Mrs. Gregory said, though the pair had not met before, their lives had taken similar patterns. So remember, the pair means the two of them. So she could say, Mrs. Gregory said, though they, because they represents the two of them, which is also the pair. So you could say, although they had not met before, and then you can see the equivalent of they as the possessive pronoun there. Their lives had taken similar patterns. We're both the same age and got married around the same time and have 3 children, she said, which is probably why their pen pal relationship, which I just described as pen palship. I'm making up a new word. You heard it here first. Their pen palship, maybe it already exists. I'm not sure. Their pen palship was successful because they have all of these similarities. So you could say these are the things they have in common. We have so much in common. And we're both married. We both have 3 children. We're both the same age. We're both women. We have so much in common. We have so many similarities. So notice, so much in common, because common is uncountable. We don't put an S on it. But here are similarities. So many similarities. We have so many similarities. You can use the same verb, have. We started in pencil. They're talking about their pen palship, their pen pal relationship. We started in pencil, moved on to ink. When you move on, it means you progress to something else. So you advance. Progress or advance. Progress, advance. Now you move on to something. Notice that. So if you finish one task at work, you can move on to the next task. You can progress to the next task, advance to the next task. We started in pencil, moved on to ink, then typing. Wow, this is an interesting relationship when you think of how the method of communication has changed over the past 70 years. Then typing, and now we can email and stay in touch on social media. So different. And notice here, stay in touch. When you stay in touch with someone, it means you keep communicating with that person. So often this is how we say goodbye to someone. We say bye, stay in touch, which is a way of saying, make sure you keep talking to me. Make sure you keep sending me messages. Make sure you keep emailing me, calling me. So to remain in communication, remain in communication. And you stay in touch with someone. Okay, so we've stayed in touch for the last 70 years. We have the present perfect because it started in the past and it continues until now. We've stayed in touch for the last 70 years. This is how you can use it in a sentence. We've stayed in touch. Now, you don't have to include the with each other because it's we. It's not necessary at all, but I just want to show you that if you identify someone, you need with. So in this case, if you use we, it wouldn't be common to include that, but you might say, I've stayed in touch with my pen pal for the last 70 years. We have a great pen palship. Okay, it's going to catch on. Just wait. So you can stay in touch. You can also keep in touch by stay in touch, keep in touch. I'll just add that in here. Keep in touch. They're exactly the same. There's no difference. So for all of these, you just need to conjugate your verb. We've kept in touch. We've kept in touch. I've kept in touch with my pen pal. So you can use stay or keep. There's no difference in meaning. There's just two separate options here. She said, it's come a long way. When something has come a long way, it means that something has progressed a lot. So we can say, for example, computers have come a long way. Think back to the computer that these women used to type their first message to each other, and then compare that to the computer they're using now. Obviously, that technology has progressed a lot. It has come a long way. So has progressed, advanced a lot. To come a long way. Let's continue. Mrs. Gregory's trip was organized by her 3 children as a special gift for her 80th birthday. Oh, that's sweet. And her daughter, Steph Callum, accompanied her for the journey. When you accompany someone, it means you go with that person. So her daughter went on the trip with her. Her daughter accompanied her to America. Mrs. Gregory is the UK pen pal. So my daughter accompanied me to South Carolina. So this means my daughter went with me to South Carolina. You accompany someone. All right, I'll just highlight that for you. So Steph Callum accompanied her. They don't include the location. If they did, it would be to South Carolina for the journey. Mom has always wanted to meet her American pen friend. I've never heard it referred to as pen friend. I've only heard it as pen pal. Maybe, I'm not sure, maybe that is a British expression. I have not heard that before. But also, I don't know if I've ever heard pen palship, which I just made up. Pen pal, pen friend. But I can definitely tell you in US at least, we say pen pal. I've never heard pen friend. Also notice this spelling of mum is specific to UK spelling. In the US, in American English, we say mom, which is, of course, if you didn't know, is short for mother. And almost everyone calls their mother mom. To me, it sounds very formal to say mother. It's mom, mom, mom. And when you're a little kid, maybe until you're 10 years old, you say mommy. But after 10 years old, if you still say mommy, it sounds a little childish, it doesn't sound appropriate for an adult or a teenager to do, at least in North America. So when you're maybe until you're 10 years old, you can say mommy. And then after that, and until for the rest of your life, you'll say mom. You can absolutely say mother. It's just not the most common. Miss Callum, the daughter, remember Miss Callum, the daughter, Miss Callum she said the meeting had been on her mother's bucket list as it was one of her lifelong regrets. Oh, remember we had lifelong wish? I believe it was a wish. Lifelong wish. You can also have a lifelong regret. A regret is something you wish you had done. Something you wish you had done, but you didn't. I don't like having regrets. I think having regrets are some of the worst feelings you could have. So I always try to make sure I do the things I want to do so I don't have regrets. I don't want to have lifelong regrets. I want to fulfill my lifelong wishes, dreams, desires, and I guess that's it. Wishes, dreams, desires, goals. That was the other one, goals. Okay, a bucket list. This became very popular with a movie. I don't know if I had heard the expression before the movie. When you kick the bucket, it's another way of saying you die. A very casual slang way of saying you die. To kick the bucket. This means to die. It's not very commonly used. It might be considered a little disrespectful to say something like my friend kicked the bucket, which means my friend died. But this expression comes from the list of things that you want to do, your goals, your wishes, your desires, the list of things you want to do before you kick the bucket, before you die. That's called your bucket list. So on her mother's bucket list, she wanted to meet her American pen pal, pen friend. It was one of her lifelong regrets that they had never met in person. So remember, a regret is when you say like, oh, I wish I had applied to that job. I wish I had moved to another country. I wish I had spent more time improving my English. It was very emotional when they met. When something is described as emotional, it means it produces very strong feelings in you. Women tend to show these feelings by crying. So you can imagine they probably were crying, but in this case, they were tears of happiness because they're meeting for the first time. It was very emotional when they met, she added. I was quite choked up when they hugged for the first time. When you get choked up, to get or to become, to be, in this case it's be, choked up, it means emotional. It's another way of saying emotional. So perhaps it's your retirement party, and after working for this company for 50 years, you're giving a speech and you're saying goodbye to all of your coworkers, and as you're saying goodbye, you might get a little choked up. You might have trouble expressing those words because there's a lot of emotion and you're trying not to show that emotion, and that causes you from like getting a little choked up. So it's when you have a lot of emotion, but you also try not to really show that emotion because you might be in the middle of a speech, for example. I was quite choked up when they hugged for the first time. So the daughter is watching the two women. Remember, one of them is her mother. It was her lifelong dream to meet this pen pal that she's had for 70 years. And they hug, and the daughter is watching them and like getting choked up, getting emotional. They hit it off instantly and have a lot in common. Oh, I already shared this with you. Woohoo. Now, to hit it off, this is when you get along with someone. When you get along with someone, it means you have a positive relationship with them. So when you hit it off, it means you feel very connected to someone. You feel that you will have a good relationship with someone after meeting them for the first time. And in this case, it is their first time meeting, although they've been communicating for 70 years. They hit it off. So they liked someone and they became friends immediately. They hit it off instantly and have a lot in common. They've been talking nonstop. Nonstop, this is an adverb and it means they've been talking continuously. So the action happens for a long period of time. I have another example here for you. I've been working nonstop, continuously. Now, because this action started in the past and continues until now, you can use the present perfect or the present perfect continuous. Mrs. Gregory and her daughter stayed for 9 days in South Carolina, with much of that time being spent with Mrs. Cross and her family. The two pen pals said they would continue to stay in touch. So remember, stay in touch, or what's the other verb you can use? Stay in touch, or you can keep in touch. Continue to stay in touch, keep in touch through letters and cards. But we're not sure if the meeting would ever be repeated. If something's repeated, of course, it means it happens again. So they're not sure if they'll ever meet in person again, although they do want to maintain their pen pal relationship, their pen palship. And that's the end of the article. And this is an image of the women when they met. And here are some of the letters that they wrote to each other when they could have been 12 or 14 years old. So that must have been really fun to meet each other, to look at these old letters, to talk about their lives. It must have been a very interesting meeting. What about you? Do you have a pen pal? Share that in the comments. And now what I'll do is I'll go to the beginning of the article and I'll read it from start to finish. And this time you can focus on my pronunciation. Pen pals of 70 years meet for first time. A pair of 80-year-old pen pals who have been writing to each other since 1955 have finally fulfilled their lifelong wish to meet in person. Patsy Gregory from Lancashire traveled nearly 4,000 miles to meet Carol Ann Cross in South Carolina, who she began writing to as a 12-year-old. Mrs. Gregory said Mrs. Cross was exactly as she imagined she would be. I recognized her immediately and it just felt natural, she said. Mrs. Gregory said though the pair had not met before, their lives had taken similar patterns. We're both the same age and got married around the same time and have 3 children, she said. We started in pencil, moved on to ink, then typing, and now we can email and stay in touch on social media, she said. It's come a long way. Mrs. Gregory's trip was organized by her 3 children as a special gift for her 80th birthday, and her daughter Steph Callum accompanied her for the journey. Mom has always wanted to meet her American pen friend, Miss Callum said. She said the meeting had been on her mother's bucket list, as it was one of her lifelong regrets that they had never met in person. It was very emotional when they met, she added. I was quite choked up when they hugged for the first time. They hit it off instantly and have a lot in common. They've been talking nonstop. Mrs. Gregory and her daughter stayed for 9 days in South Carolina, with much of that time being spent with Mrs. Cross and her family. The 2 pen pals said they would continue to stay in touch through letters and cards, but were not sure if the meeting would ever be repeated.
Do you want me to make another masterclass just like this? If you do, put yes, 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 yes in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And of course, you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And I have another masterclass I know you'll love, so make sure you watch it right now.